Well, Russia should be made to pay post-war reparations to Ukraine once the conflict between the two has ended, the Ukrainian Finance Minister has said. Sergii Marchenko told me in an exclusive TV interview yesterday and estimated that the total cost for reconstruction could run into hundreds of billions of dollars. When I spoke to him from Kiev, I asked for his thoughts of Prime Minister Boris Johnson visiting the city at the weekend and what more foreign governments can do.
It was a very nice visit of your Prime Minister. I want to express my personal gratitude to the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, Boris Johnson, and his leadership in supporting Ukraine. I've had pleasure to attend meeting with him recently in Kiev, where he had announced additional $500 million of financial support. We also thank him for UK for participating in trust fund created under the World Bank. So I believe that kind of leadership is that we need right now from all around the world to different other countries. So he is a very good example what leader of today's society should be like Boris Johnson.
But are you looking necessarily for more financial assistance on a bilateral basis from countries, or are you preferring it to come from the World Bank and the IMF?
Now we created several tools which can help different countries to support Ukraine. First of all, it's a multi-donor trust fund created by World Bank. Another instrument is an administrative account of IMF, which can help different countries to channel their money or donor loans to the Ukraine. So we are negotiated bilaterally with different countries, and we're expecting to receive the support in the nearest future.
And presumably it would also be a great help if the West were to stop buying Russian oil and gas.
Yes, it will help us, and we do as possible to deal with different countries to show that sanction is not enough, and we need much more because we're still in a war with Russia. And to win this war, we should have additional pressure on them, because if they receive dollars to support their military, it means that they next time be in Ukraine. So that's why embargo on oil and gas from Russia will be next step of sanction, and we eager to receive this sanction from EU and different other countries.
EU countries such as Germany argue that it's impossible for them to stop buying Russian gas because it would put their country into a recession. What would you say to them?
Please look at Ukraine in this particular moment of time. The Russians kill our peoples, destroy our infrastructure, destroy our economy. And it's not just a question of we will win. It's a question what time takes us to win this war. And for all who wants to support and to deal with Russia, we want to show that it's our time. It's our people who are killed, and that's why your decision. It's a question of how much people we can be able to save using your decisions.
So would you say then a recession in parts of the EU would be a small price to pay if it stopped Russia's war on Ukraine?
I think it is. So it of course I don't expect the great recession within EU, but the preliminary estimation of EU, it means that they can lose partly maybe lower than 1% of their predicted pre-war GDP growth. So if it will be 1%, 1% and 5%, for us it's a good signal that they can manage to do so. But for us it's a great damage, and we can't expect any other ideas how to support Ukraine.
Obviously, hundreds of millions of people around the world depend on Ukrainian grain exports. There's a big sowing season coming up next month. How worried are you that that will not be able to go ahead?
That we try to do our best to to safeguard necessary conditions for our farmers to sowing campaign. We provided them 0% loans to find necessary money for them for petrol, for other commodities or chemicals to start the sowing campaign. And as of now, we see possible to sow 80% of lands in comparison with previous years. It will be a good result if we will do so.
Is it too early to start thinking about post-war reconstruction in Ukraine?
I don't think it's early or not. It's a question of finding the right mechanism, safeguarding necessary amount of funds which can be used or could be used for like Russian frozen assets, etc., and collected for Ukraine especially, and which we can use after the war. Of course, to start doing reconstruction after the war, we should be able to create these funds right now and to start this process right now.
How much money do you think Ukraine will need?
It's hundreds of billions of dollars, because just our infrastructure, critical infrastructure, cost us $120 billion, which were damaged by war. And if we add social and military infrastructure, it could be more than $500 billion US.
I mean, there's been talk of a Marshall Plan for Ukraine, if you like. Is that the sort of thing that you could conceive happening?
Yes, it's possible. When I mentioned that we should create such a fund or vehicle, how to support Ukraine, I mentioned that it was an experience of post-war Europe, how they reconstruct, how they create necessary incentives to rebuild their economy. It should be something like that, Marshall Plan for Ukraine. We name it U-24 Recovery Plan. And it could be possible to start this plan just after the war.
And should Russia be made to pay reparations to Ukraine after the war?
Yes, we expect so. And it's not just only frozen assets of banks of Russia. It's frozen assets from business oligarchs from Russia. It also used other taxes, additional taxes on Russia, oil and gas, which can be directed towards Ukraine, or other mechanism of repatriation, because of their decision, they should pay for that. Doing war in Ukraine, it's their decision. That's why they should pay for this decision after the war.
And how should those reparations be enforced? You would expect the international community to do that.
It's partly political decision. It could be made through different political decisions from different countries. And on the other hand, it's a international judicial process, which can be moved based on existing instrument to suit Russia of their assets and to collect necessary amount of money towards this fund of creation Ukraine.